What is going on, guys? Rewinds here, and in this video I'm going to be bringing you guys my review for Boruto 2 Blue Vortex Manga chapter number 17. So this felt like overall that it was a setup chapter. Got the plot moving a good bit, I feel like, but I did feel like everything in the chapter that happened was necessary still. Nothing felt like anything was dragging or anything like that. But I felt like, based off of the plan that Team 7 is executing right now, everything that happened in this chapter made sense. So we had pretty much the setup phase of that, as well as a couple of flashbacks to Shikamaru as well. Those were definitely the bigger chunks of the chapter, and that's mostly what we got. And then we got a couple other things too, such as Kawaki at the end, and then we had a little stuff with Ada as well, talking with Kashi and Koji. So we had a couple of things all around, and we got a good bit to discuss, so let's talk about it. So the official title of this chapter is Wild Beast Cubs. So this is referring to the Shinju, or they're translating it as the Divine Tree people. So it refers to them, and it's pretty much, describing them in the sense of their current nature, that they're not inherently evil, but they have a lot of destructive power. They're pretty much wild beasts that have yet to be tamed. So the cover page for this month was a double cover page, not a solo this time. We have Yodo and Araya together on it. I think up until now we've been getting, solo cover pages, so this was a cool little change to see. And it's good that they gave them a cover, because these two are gonna, be a big part of this upcoming battle, it feels like. So I think this was a good time to do it. A person I actually think needs to get one that surprisingly hasn't gotten one yet is actually Konohamaru. I feel like a lot of the other characters that have been, involved in most of the chapters have gotten one, but just surprised me that Konohamaru hasn't gotten one yet. So that's my early guess for next month, that Konohamaru is going to get a cover page of his own. But the chapter kicks off with Sarada pretty much remembering what Sumire said, and Mitsuki's realizing pretty much that there's something wrong with Sarada, like he notices, but there's this kind of vibe that you can tell that Mitsuki and Sarada aren't as close as they used to be, and that's probably because of, all the stuff that happened with Boruto. So even though they're still on the same team, maybe they don't trust each other the same way, or they're just not as close as they used to be, perhaps. But that's pretty much what seems like the situation there. And then we cut over to Matsuri and Ryu, and she's pretty much telling Ryu that the trees said that Boruto placed this toad here, and apparently that these trees are everywhere. And I guess that reminded me of Zetsu in a way, where Zetsu was around all the time, So that's kind of the vibe that the trees are giving me here, that they're just around and they're kind of going to be there to get information. So that made sense. So by using the trees' voices to track them, Matsuri feels confident that they'll find Boruto or his accomplice pretty soon. Yodo's listening into this through her ability, and says it's a matter of time when Matsuri finds them, not if. Because based off how she's talking, she seems confident that, she'll be able to uncover any threats, especially when it comes to Boruto and his accomplice. So Konohamaru responds to this by saying everything's lining up with the intel so far, and asks them pretty much if they're ready. Sarada seems hesitant, so Mitsuki actually ends up checking on her. And meanwhile, Yodo confirms in the meantime with Konohamaru that if they take down Ryu, that they can actually bring Shinki back with the Thorn Soul Bulb. And Yodo says that she'll do her best, and Araya tells her not to be reckless. So we got a little bit of bickering between those two, while Konohamaru confirms the details to them. And then Konohamaru then asks again if everyone understands the plan and is ready. So then what happens is Team 7, being led by Konohamaru, start walking up to Matsuri and Ryu and start asking who they are and what they're doing here. And Matsuri is very shocked to see Konohamaru. So Konohamaru says that they've been following Boruto's trail. And Ryu says to Matsuri, "It seems like they don't know who we are." And Matsuri at this moment isn't really saying anything. She's just super stunned to see Konohamaru and is blushing and tells Ryu to do the talking. So, seems like Matsuri has a pretty big crush on Konohamaru, which, factors in big into their plan that I'm going to talk about in a little bit. So, we do flashback right then to Shikamaru, who is talking to Konohamaru and saying that the mission isn't just to take down the divine trees, but to also collect their thorn bulbs. And Shikamaru explains that defeating these two can restore Moegi and Shinki with the thorn bulb. So, also, I wrote down thorn bulb in like some notes I had about the chapter, but I'm pretty sure it's still thorn soul bulb. I just saw that in the chapter for whatever reason Shikamaru started calling them thorn bulbs. I don't know if that's just a translator thing, but yeah, don't get too mad at me over that. Shikamaru is explaining that if the thorn bulbs aren't retrieved, that those two can be resurrected, and that it's likely that that also happened with Hidari as well. That's just Shikamaru making an assumption, but he thinks that there's a good chance that Hidari was also resurrected because they weren't able to get the Thorn Soul Bulb. And Konohamaru questions Shikamaru how he got this intel, but Shikamaru tells him that it's beyond his clearance and that he'll just need to trust it. So pretty much Shikamaru using his Hokage authority here to not reveal that info to Konohamaru, which is pretty big because Konohamaru is Hokage advisor right now, so to hide it from someone that high up too among the standings is just showing, Shikamaru's keeping his word with what he made with Kashin Koji in the previous chapter, as well as, hiding the Boruto thing as well. Meanwhile, a toad is shown inside Shikamaru's cloak listening in, which we know is Kashin Koji, and Shikamaru's pretty much was saying that these divine trees aren't intrinsically evil, but rather they're like newborn offspring of wild beast, and that's the connection we had to the title. However, they're a great threat due to their power and them relying on their instincts. So their instincts are what make them dangerous at the moment. So we don't know what way they could get molded, but it's very possible they could get molded in a negative manner, and that's Shikamaru's concern. And Shikamaru kind of gives a ruthless strategy over here to Konohamaru, which kind of caught Konohamaru off guard too. Especially since Konohamaru, I feel like, operates more like Naruto. So I'm kind of wondering if he's going to be able to execute this plan to the extent needed. Because Shikamaru pretty much tells Konohamaru that you guys got to become friends with them and pretty much tame them. And then when they least expect it, to betray them. And it just shows you that Shikamaru is willing to do anything to get rid of this threat, which is valid, as him being Hokage right now, sometimes you got to make some tough choices. And he pretty much says that it's a perfect plan if you consider them nothing but foes. But he also acknowledges that it's not something that Naruto would do, but he also says that he's not Naruto, and that he proposes that this tactic will be what's best for the survival of mankind. So I actually like this. This distinguishes Shikamaru from, how Naruto would have acted in this case. And we know this is in Shikamaru's character more so to do something like this because Shikamaru always takes the more cautious and also the smarter approach of what he thinks is right. So I really like this moment for him as Hokage. It shows, how he's different as Hokage than Naruto. In terms of strategy and something we know in the Naruto verse, Shikamaru is pretty much unmatched. Barely, there's probably not too many people that can be near his level in that regard. So, again, I also like that he acknowledges the difference too in the approach Naruto would have here. So, good little thing there too. So then we get over back to the present, and Konohamaru pretty much presents himself as the commander, and he also introduces his teammates, Mitsuki and Sarada, to the Shinju, and Ryu introduces himself too, and Matsuri as well gets introduced by Ryu, who is still heavily blushing at the time, and Konohamaru pretty much says, hey, have you guys been searching for Boruto too? And he says, we may as well join forces if you are. And Ryu pretty much responds to this by asking Matsuri, who still happens to be blushing a lot, and she's hiding behind him, and says, sure, I guess. And then Konohamaru talks pretty much about the toad to them and says that, well, pretty much what actually happened then is I think Mitsuki found this metal and says it's one that Boruto uses for teleportation, which catches the Shinju's attention. So Konohamaru then suggests splitting up. And Konohamaru then comes by to Matsuri and says, "Hey, you're Matsuri, right? What's wrong? You're not feeling well?" And Sarada's pretty much telling Ryu at this time, a little bit away from the distance, that they may have found other stuff too that might be Boruto's. And Mitsuki says that their other comrades are waiting over there too. And, Ryu's a little hesitant to leave Matsuri, but Konohamaru tells Ryu, don't worry, and that him and Matsuri got that area covered. So, plan A is good, that they're splitting these guys up. It's working out, and things, went pretty smooth conversation-wise. So, I think that, start of the plan is a success, but it's a matter of where something goes wrong or something's executed not so great. We'll see what happens in the next chapter in that regard. So, pretty much after that, as they're walking, Ryu ends up calling the Konoha ninja nice peeps and says that Elder Jura is full of respect for them and that he's their boss man. So, he's getting a little more comfortable talking to them now and saying stuff like that. But Ryu also says something crazy after too. He says he was intending to slaughter any ninja he ran into, but he's glad that they spoke first before he took any action. So, again, a developing moment perhaps for him. And Shikamaru is pretty much, we're flashing back now, and Shikamaru is telling Konohamaru that he picked him for this mission specifically because Matsuri is targeting him and has romantic feelings for him. So, directly, access-wise, this has to be the perfect mission for Konohamaru since he's the target. And it makes sense. I mean, hey, you're making Konohamaru useful in this regard. You're literally having him keep a Shinju busy while the others are trying to take one down. And, then Konohamaru, I'm sure, will have, hopefully, fingers crossed, some shine too whenever this fight with Matsuri happens. So, however, Matsuri isn't aware that she has romantic feelings for him and has no idea the emotion she's feeling. And Shikamaru says that Matsuri's emotions being in a turmoil should give them an advantage to separate them, ideally helping them not face both at once, which would be very difficult. We now cut back to the present where Matsuri's with Konohamaru alone, and he says, "You look like you need a break. You want to sit somewhere and talk?" So, Konohamaru out here entertaining her, risen her up. So, we'll see how that goes. I mean, maybe we could get something really crazy next chapter where Matsuri tries some kind of move or something. You never know with how Boruto's manga is going right now. So she pretty much is telling him that she doesn't know why she feels this way, and Konohamaru says he doesn't think that it's necessarily weird. So Konohamaru's playing it off pretty well, I'd say. Konohamaru's acting like at the moment that he's got no problem dealing with girls that got crushes on him. So he's, playing his part in the mission pretty good. And he's going to have to keep this convo up, I think, while the others go and deal with Ryu. So what I'm wondering about Ryu, though, is are they going to be able to lure Ryu far enough to the point where Matsuri doesn't know something's going on? That's what's going to be interesting to see. We then actually get a scene with Kashin Koji and Ada, and he's requesting Ada to see what's going on in the sand right now and assures her that Mamoshi should be at the base. And Mamoshi is actually the name of the bug Shinju. I actually did not know that till this month, but now we know. And at the hideout, at the hideout of Kashin Koji and Boruto, they're together and they're talking, and Koji says that it's going well so far and that they've successfully separated them. Boruto asks what happens next. Koji says that ideally Konohamaru keeps Matsuri occupied while the others take down Ryu and then rendezvous with Konohamaru and defeat Matsuri together. Boruto asks what's the chance that they fail. He says, as a reply, not high, but Boruto asks Koji not to lie to him. And Koji responds to this part by saying he says either way, you're not to go, Boruto. So hopefully Koji isn't lying there because, if they fail, worst case scenario, every one of them is going to die. But the way Koji's talking, something could be up his sleeve. Maybe something big happens in this upcoming chapter that's going to be bad and that could perhaps be a thing that could be what Koji's kind of not revealing to Boruto right now. So, I have a couple guesses what this could be. I'm going to make a prediction video probably at some point too, but I'm just hoping it's not a death for, someone on Team 7. I could see someone like Mitsuki and especially Konohamaru being used as perhaps a death, and that could be used to propel like Sarada's Mangekyo Sharingan, perhaps. Just something being a little bit more unexpected, but I really hope personally we don't go down that route, just because I feel like both those characters have so much more to offer to the story. But yeah, I don't know. But Kakashi and Koji got me scared for those two, especially for Konohamaru, because I feel like Konohamaru is a character that maybe could die down the line in the series, but if you're gonna have him go out at least with like some sort of blaze of glory, I feel, because Konohamaru has been a character that's underperformed, I feel like, from what people expected of him. And I know some people are going to say, well, we didn't expect, much from him, but I mean, if you look back at a lot of stuff in Naruto, Konohamaru feels like, that he's going to be the next Hokage candidate and perhaps the next Hokage in the future. So we got to see him do better in Boruto, and so far Two Blue Vortex has been doing better than Naruto Next Generations for that. So hopefully they're not planning on killing any of the Team 7 members off. That's what I'm hoping for. You can give them a big injury or something if you want, but just can't have them getting done dirty. That's just my opinion. So Koji did say that he's not to go. He said it's pretty much like Himawari's situation. If Boruto makes a move in this battle, Jura's going to appear, and he definitely will kill Boruto this time. He says, you are the one thing we cannot lose. And some people are really looking into the part where he's calling Boruto a thing. Kind of as if he sees Boruto as a tool. It's possible. I'm not going to doubt it, but I mean, it's also a true statement from what it sounds like that Boruto is going to be the one who takes care of a lot of this in the scenario where it works. So let's see what ends up happening. But I don't know if Boruto is going to get involved in this fight or not. Maybe, he'll lose his temper and he will, but who knows. But for now, it's a good way to write him out and give the others some shine. So hopefully, that's what I'm saying. Hopefully, Yodo and Araya get some shine and Team 7 get some shine. I want to see everybody get some good shine this arc. And then we get over to Jura, who is shown at the Konoha bookstore. Shikamaru tells the sensor unit not to evacuate anyone and to treat him like a normal customer. Jura actually ends up paying cash in advance for his next visit too. This is just funny because I mean, where did he get this cash from, right? I saw someone say that maybe he has access to some of Kara's cash, and hey, that could be possible. Maybe Code had cash lying around, it's possible, and so did Bug, maybe. So maybe from there, but it's just a little thing that I found kind of funny. As for him reading books, it's good to keep Jura calm for now, but it's probably going to help him develop more as a character. And Jura developing as a character is definitely going to mold him in a certain way, so we'll see how that goes. And then pretty much we get to the last scene of the chapter where Amado is smoking a cigarette, and as he's about to go and continue, Kawaki snatches it out of his hand. He then uses his right hand to pin him against the wall, and Amado is pretty much like slowly talking now, and he's saying, he thought that Kawaki might be coming by. Kawaki ends up pretty much saying to end the chapter that he's got a lot he wants to say to Amado, but first he's going to draw out his power to his fullest extent, and that's pretty much where the chapter ended off. I think that was a good ending for the chapter because that's a point that's got to be addressed right now between Amado and Kawaki. And, maybe Kawaki gets involved in this battle with with Matsuri and Ryu, perhaps. Because, Kawaki we know can fly, and if he gets a new power unlocked, maybe, he's going to be able to travel there very, very quick as well and arrive to the scene to help if needed. So I could see Kawaki perhaps getting some big shine in this arc too as a surprise entrant. But there's also a chance that, again, Team 7 just handles it on their own we don't know yet what way they're going to go with all of this for sure. But I do feel like overall the chapter had good pacing for what it was, set a lot more stuff up, and all in all, I'm just looking forward to seeing what we're going to get in chapter 18, because I do feel like a lot of stuff is going to kick off into high gear in next month's chapter. Last few months of chapters, we've gotten, a good bit of setup and build up going on, and I've appreciated those chapters. Now I think it's time we get some payoff in these upcoming ones soon. So all in all, I'm going to give this somewhere around a 7.5 to an 8 out of 10. Yet another good to pretty good chapter, maybe borderline great for the setup end. But in that ballpark, I still don't think any Boruto chapter for Two Blue Vortex has been anywhere below a 7. So I think we're keeping a hot streak going, and hopefully we keep it up. I really want to see Boruto Two Blue Vortex keep it up how they are right now with how they're handling things. It feels like a good bit is happening almost every single month. So that's good to see, and hopefully that continues. But that's going to wrap up this video. Definitely let me know what you think of the chapter in the comments below. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Be sure to leave a like if you did, and subscribe to my channel if you guys are new. And as always, I hope you guys have a good day or night whenever you guys are watching this video. I'm Rewinds, and I'm out.